how I love you, how we hang on words, how we need eaten with need, how we need to eat, how weevils sift the wheat, how cold it is, how thick with hoar frost, ice slick, sleet freeze, how wintry the mix, how full of angst, how gut sick, how blue lipped, how we drink a health, how we care, how easy over as eggs it all, how it all slides, how absurd, how yet tender we all, how wrapped in a thick coat, how battered, how slender the flesh, how we wrap ourselves, how many selves we all, how I miss you many, how your eyes warm mine, how I see you, how tiny am I inside, how enormous my need, how you open an old-fashioned satchel, how deep it yawns, how bleak this need, how enormous my need, how you open an old-fashioned satchel, and how like winter, how it yet catches the light, how brilliant the sundogs parhelion, moondogs parsaline, phenomenon optic, how fetching your spectacles, how my thumbs might fit alongside the slope of your nose, how my own glasses slide down the thin bridge of my nose, how ridiculous the theory of the land bridge, how inane the bibble babble, how we grew to be friends, how we grew thumbs, how opposable we all, how we grew sparks, how we blew up a fire, how angry, how incensed, how we resist, how we bead up drops, how water will not run, how we distract, how loud the dog snores, how loudly, how noisy the snows grow, how many degrees below, how we fret, how again, how we all came here, how did we come, how loves, how did we come to this? So that's the first poem in the collection. It's actually outside the sections of the collection. It's kind of a question that the book sort of tries to answer, is like, what in us brought us to this social place, the personal place of recovery? What is it feeding into people's disagreements with one another? And, obviously if we can figure it out how, maybe we can get out. I'll just read a couple poems from each section. There's 4 sections. This one is called Variations True. Subtle color variations of lilac keep coming back to me, late 1970s. I asked my adult cousins in Germany, what did you do in the war? We were young, they said. We didn't know. All was normal, they said, normal auf Deutsch. We took our bikes, they said, out of the Stadt, the city. They went to gather flowers, some seasonal fest they biked to dance, to eat, to sing. I imagine them in wide skirts with aprons maybe, on curvy bikes with wire baskets, filled with lilac blossoms, overflowing and abundant and all the young things. I imagine them pedaling back on a day that happens later, but time collapses in these instances. And I see them braking heavily when they find the city ruined. Then they run to the river. That actually happened. Survive waves of flame. Too late for my father's grandparents, already dead in the rubble. Buried in debris, the city later piled into an enormous hill that grew over green and inviting along the same paths my cousins biked, and recalled when I asked, what did you do? Normal, they said. I never understood, instead kept lilac in my head, so many pinks and faded inky purples that turn blue in age, so many stages of one bloom that might not grow there, but my mind maybe stood lilac as a substitute for some German word. Normal, they said. I never knew how many variations of a vision we can spin to make one image that might not even have been true, but now is now, and now I know we do. So that's variation true. And that was one of the later poems that came into the collection. But the very last one that I added, I'll read to you now because it's a poem about isolating during COVID. And it's a love poem, and it's called Face to Face. How can you stop touching your face when I can barely resist touching your face? It's the septum I crave. And now, but for now, our quarantine is Joker taunting Batman. It's right under your nose. We've seen nothing like this. All these long days between us, every question unanswered makes me want to coax the words, stroke your, I look it up, philtrum, love charm. Oh, I can withhold. My touch retreats from your eminence, your arch, your cheek plane, chin orbit, brow ridge, temples, your notch, fossa, basin of tears, your lobe, your canal. No, these do not so much tempt me, but that slope and dip, tenderest of ports, my pinky fits, where spirit pushed a fingertip into the clay of us, hushed us. So hushed us with the touch, so we could not tell all that we saw and must forget in order to be born, in order to shine the way your eyes. Stop it with your eyes. Oh, your eyes just lead me to your smile, then above to that Cupid's bow. I wish and wish I could plant a kiss, draw all that forgotten knowledge out, but so many touches undone, murdered between want and what we must, we must. We close our eyes in two beds, too much risk to sleep foot to head, and breathe our dreams into the one thing we once were, truly not knowing we ever will be again. So that's what I wrote instead of going to Milwaukee in March while we were isolating, my husband having come back from a trip and myself having come back from a trip and my kid getting sent home from school. So in the first part of the book, I do introduce a number of political things as well as some poems that are about what I witnessed as a child growing up, for the most part witnessed abuses and some things I experienced myself in a small town that was that had some of its own issues. So I'll read just one of those poems for the context of The Little Big Bully. Not the girl in the Rambler staring out her window every summer, not allowed out. Not the girl whose dad left his pistol under the pillow where we jumped on the bed. Not the girl who wore only undershirts at home on her daddy's lap. Not the girl who cleaned, dressed, bathed, fed her little sister's dog food if she had to. Not the girl who could not read, who married the odd jobs man. Not the girl who parked with her dad on country roads and then by bars. Not the girl who thrilled at the drop-off kiss from the dad whose kids she babysat. Not the girl who got a car, got a puppy, got a trip when she gave her baby away. Not the girl whose cousin hit her with his rifle until she knelt and did it. Not the girl who never looked at me again, who never talked to me again, who never laughed. Not the girl who swore me not to tell, who told me I would die, who ran off and married. Not the girl, another girl, and then another girl, and then so many, many girls while I was still a girl. Not the girl, but a woman who was not, has not, did not, would not, could not, will not. So that's me not having it. And there's poems in here in this section too about what happened at Standing Rock, brutality that the sheriff's department from my city partially took part in and provided weapons for, but we voted that sheriff out. So there was an upside to that. In the middle are poems that I feel like do a little bit more of a context and in larger cultural sense. And one of them is called Perpetual Communion of Junior High. She used a brittle gloss of sugar, her emblem of her girlhood game, the kind of translucent candies, watermelon, green, apple, cinnamon hot. Eyes closed, you heard the crinkle and unwrap as you stood, tongue out. If you were in, it went in. If you were out, you spit out the twist of cellophane or swallowed at the jock priestess of junior high's command. Or maybe you carried your own candies, showed her your tongue stained pink or green or red, stuck it out hard and passed. True, her goons kicked you in the ass, but to this day, any artificial taste takes you back. There was a time you stood apart from all of that. That one looks sort of like someone sticking out their tongue. I don't know. It wasn't really meant to be a concrete poem, but it started working, so I grooved on it. And then this is a poem. I don't know, it doesn't need any explanation. I'll just read it. Big Sir, massive block of a man, takes the light, turns up his chin, sun exists to shine for him. The deep shadow of his form forms a field, a force, repulsion and pull of someone brutal and strong. Cold eclipse his proximity, shivers in heat. Something back from childhood when we learned in the taste of grit and dirt to get up, be safe or brave, learned two sides, the line, hide behind or step up, but never get between the mean mass and his shine. He needs his shine, needs that dark too, the one made for design, that blacker than black, that deep shade, trailing shadow of mad dad, bad boy, stalker, wife beater, boss. We all hide where we grew, comfortable in what we knew, where to stand off to his bad side, or we let him stand between us and them. Us or them, us or them. Behemoth shadow so terrible, his need so big, we just get smaller. Without melting, he keeps us cool. Such shade here, such screen against, too bright, right, or dazzle of wrong. Right or right to wash the wrong. Darker than that design dark, his shadow. A cape no one tugs, we just ski along. His toe an excuse not to choose until he needs to hear. Like the Jesus some believe craves praise, even a little note behind you, sometimes stepping on your strong, big strong, something wrong to even us. We so small, please. We need, please, you, sir, big sir, please, on our knees.